It's a story of the saint who visited a temple that was famous for its beautiful carved murti. And the saint, as he approached, was starting to talk to some of the stones. And the first stone, he learned, had been offended when a sculptor came along with a chisel to cut the stone. And the saint said to that stone, if you had been willing to suffer some temporary pain, then you would have become the murti, the deity in the temple. But you weren't, so you became a paving stone. And the second stone had been more tolerant. That stone said, you can chisel me a little bit, but not too much. And that stone became part of the doorway. And the third stone trusted the sculptor as being divinely guided and said, give me however many blows needed to cut away everything that needs to be removed for me to realize my full potential. That stone became the deity. A different sculptor story. Another sculptor was asked how he made such a beautiful sculpture of an elephant. And he said, well, I took a piece of stone and I cut away everything that wasn't the elephant. If we were a block of stone, our destiny would be to become a beautiful sculpture. But how much do we welcome as Yogananda Ji put it, the divine sculptor to chisel our life according to his will? And those chisel blows, as we know, can hurt. And sometimes we're like a character in a cartoon, and this man is praying very diligently to God. And he says, I really, really want to grow spiritually. But please, not in any way that's uncomfortable or embarrassing. And sometimes that's all of us, isn't it? And another story. God comes to a 6-year-old boy who's having his dinner. And God says to the boy, I will give you whatever in the world you wish. Tell me what you want. And now there's one condition, though, and that is that you finish eating the spinach on your plate. And the boy thought for a moment, and he said, I just can't accept your offer. That spinach is just too painful. And we might laugh at the boy for giving up this dream of a lifetime for the sake of spinach. But what about our own likes and dislikes and attachments? We can practice tennis by hitting the ball against a wall, or we can have a coach who feeds us balls. And with the wall, it's predictable. You know where you're going to hit it and how it's going to come back. With the coach, he might give you balls from any direction, and they might spin, they could be fast, they could be slow, and you just learn to expect the unexpected and respond to it. And God works in a similar way as the tennis coach, that leading and pushing us along. And this is the way forward. Accepting life the way it is and what comes to us, no matter in what form or how unexpected. And picking ourselves up every time we make a mistake. Just like when we do Hong Sa, when the mind wanders, and it will, we gently bring the mind back to our one point of concentration. And so we keep picking ourselves up every time we fall. People often identify with their mistakes, their shortcomings, their weaknesses, instead of this eternal power of the soul, God's power within us, as we've been saying. The great masters, however, see our potential. They call us children of light. And they give us every encouragement. The Gita says even the worst of sinners can cross safely over the ocean of delusion. Yogananda Ji defined self-realization as being the knowing in all parts of body, mind, and soul that you are now in possession of the kingdom of God, that you do not have to pray that it come to you, that God's omnipresence is your omnipresence, that all you need to do is to improve your knowing. God is just as much a part of us now as he'll ever be. Swami Kriyananda said that education is about learning, but yoga is about unlearning the thoughts and attitudes that hold us back from our potential, and unlearning and removing everything from the block of stone that isn't a beautiful sculpture. Lord Krishna states in the Gita, seekers of union with the Lord find him dwelling in their own hearts. But those who have not purified their hearts and lack discipline, they see him not. Jesus said, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Humble, unlearning, purifying the heart, purifying our self-image of doubt, of attachment, of failure. Swami Kriyananda in the New Path talks about one time he was with his guru, Yogananda. They were outdoors in the garden with other disciples, listening to a recording of a chant. And Yogananda Ji was swaying back and forth. He was in samadhi. And he said to the disciples present, he said, I see you all as images of light. Everything, these trees, bushes, the grass you are standing on, all are made of that light. You have no idea how beautiful everything is. We want to feel just how beautiful everything is, in the same way that he did, to live in that light. Swamiji said that, gave us the affirmation, within me lies the energy to accomplish all that I will to do. Behind my every act is God's infinite power. Yogananda Ji said, don't ask when I will find God. If you want to know God, live in the thought that you have him already. Thank you.
It's true. God created this universe. He manifested a part of himself as vibration, as Om, as sound and light, and that vibration created the universe. It created all the planets and stars. It created this earth. It created all of nature. It created us. So we are literally beings of energy and light. And yet, it's difficult to identify ourselves with that, especially in our day-to-day lives. Swami Kriyananda wrote this beautiful song. It's called Channels. And he goes through all these different aspects of natures. Birds fly in freedom. Trees stay strong and tall and show inner power. Rivers flow to the sea. Mountains stand unmoving and remote. And all these different aspects of nature that have no problem manifesting who they truly are. They are who they are. God's flowing through them. He created them like this, and they manifest. Flowers remain fragrant, although pressed to the ground. It's this beautiful, beautiful song about how all of nature just reflects God's creation, reflects in the way that God made them to be. And like Keshava was saying, you know, the scriptures, the saints, the great avatars, they say, don't you know that you are God's? You know, Aham Saha. We affirm that all the time, Hang Sa, in our meditation. Aham Brahmasmi. You know, we are that. Be still and know that you are God. Everywhere the masters, the scriptures are telling us who we really are, then why is it so difficult for us to accept that or to manifest that joyfully? Keshava told several stories, but you know the one about the lion and the lambs, the one who was his mother died while he was chasing this herd of lambs, and so the baby lion ends up growing up with all the lambs, thinks it's a lamb, and then one day the lion comes into the sheep herd and sees this lion bawling and afraid and takes him to the lake and shows his reflection and says, don't you see, you're a lion? You know, no, don't kill me. Look, you're a lion. And it's like we have forgotten who we really are. It's a case of mistaken identity. And it's from lifetime after lifetime after lifetime identifying with these bodies. And Yogananda said that the ego is the soul identified with the body. So our soul, through countless incarnations, have been identified with this form that it took. This is who I am. And through all that time, just lost memory that really we're beings of light. Swami talks about the sun when it goes through the sea. The sun at the surface of the sea, if you go snorkeling, you'll see all the beautiful colors of fish and coral and all these things. But if you go deep sea diving and you go down, you realize all those colors are not there because the light cannot penetrate that ocean so deeply. So it's like our ego has learned to stand on its own because the light has not been able to get through the fog of our own delusion of forgetting who we are. Just this ignorance, this is spiritual ignorance. Swami Kriyananda called it spiritual amnesia, when we cannot remember who we are. And yet, you know, we come to satsang, we meditate, we know this is the truth of our being. We know this is the truth of our soul. Can I carry that out in my day, in my week, and act like I am aware that I'm a being of light, and everybody I'm interacting with are also beings of light? And you know, I think we just identify with our ego so much. It's like, oh, I made these mistakes. I'm not good enough, or I'm better than them, or I'm not as good as them. And this ego just is constantly comparing in our day-to-day life how we stand up against other people. Or certainly we tend to judge ourselves a lot, which is why we also judge others a lot. And so it's because when we make mistakes, we think this is who I am. Naiswami Asha gave the example one time that a baby, when it just spills the milk, it's like it has no consciousness that it even spilled the milk or that there's any problem with spilling the milk. It doesn't identify with this energy that just flowed through the baby to throw its arm and knock over the glass. It's not identifying that either as a mistake or that's who I am, I spill milk. Baby's not doing that. But when we do something like that, we say, oh, I'm stupid. Oh, I'm lazy. Oh, I'm bad. Because we are identifying and saying that is who we are. But we should be like the innocent child and just, if we remember, yes, I'm a child of God. Yes, I'm a being of light. And when I made this mistake, it was energy flowing through me, but it's not who I am. It is not who we are. And we're here to make mistakes. We're here to receive the blows of the sculptor. Otherwise, why would we be here? We would be adorning another universe, as Sri Yukteswar told us. So we come to make mistakes so we can learn. And how do we learn? We learn, as Yogananda tells us, that whatever brings us lasting joy and contentment is the direction towards our higher self, our true reality. What brings us suffering, what brings us pain, we want to steer away from that. So just like the animals who will try to move towards joy and away from pain, so we all will, with the help of God and Guru and our own spiritual path, learn more and more what it is that will bring us true joy and true happiness. And our affirmation was on humility. So humility is self-honesty. It's self-forgetfulness, like get my ego out of the way, get my comparing of others out of the way, and just forget myself and think about the goal, think about God, think about expanding His light and serving others, so self-forgetfulness. But humility is also self-honesty. I know in this form I am not perfect. I know in this form I have made these mistakes. And I can't hide anything from God. I can't hide anything from Divine Mother. So Divine Mother, I need your help. In this lifetime, I have not perfected my behavior, my attitudes, and I need your help. I can't do it myself. Yes, we have to put out the energy. Yes, we have to make the self-effort. But it's only by divine grace that we can actually change. And that awareness more and more of what is our true happiness. We have to learn that again and again and again. Because we chase one road and we find out it's a dead end. We chase another, we find out it's a dead end. But that happiness will only be found in here, inside, in our hearts. And so that open-hearted humility and truthfulness, that purity of heart, saying, Divine Mother, I really cannot get this on my own. I keep blowing it. But it's not who I am, and I need your help. And that kind of humility and self-honesty is what draws her love and draws her help. And when her light comes and shines upon us, that darkness flies away. Darkness, like a dark bird, flies away and flies away. And Krishna says in the 5th chapter, it's like once we have this realization of who we really are, of the light, it's like the sun comes up and all darkness disappears. Yoganandaji said also, you can't fight the darkness with a stick. So our own spiritual ignorance of who we really are, we just can't keep beating ourselves up. You keep putting yourself down. You keep putting yourself down. You keep judging yourself. You can't do it. You can't do it. We can't beat ourselves up with a stick. We can only turn on the light. We can only turn on the light. And then the darkness vanishes as if it's never been. So how do we turn on the light? That's the spiritual path. That's why we meditate. That's why we practice our devotion. That's why we attune ourselves to God and the gurus, and why we love Divine Mother. And when we meditate, when we get still, we can see the light. We can see the light. We may not see it perfectly, but we can see light. And even if we don't feel like we see it, it's there, and we can experience it. And when we meditate, we can experience that peace and that joy, which is who we are. That's who we really are. So meditation, smriti, is one of the definitions of meditation. It helps us remember who we are. And without that guidepost, without that help of really having that inner experience that I am light, I am love, I am joy, I am Satchidananda, that's where I came from, that's where I'm living in, that's where I'm going. When we have even a millisecond of that experience, it changes us, it reminds us. And then the next time when we fall down, or we get chiseled, or we get hammered, or we are just hurting ourselves with self-judgment, there's that back of our mind is like, no, I had that experience. I know I'm peace. I know I'm light. And that battle becomes easier and easier. You know, Krishna told Arjuna, you must fight. You must take these blows. You must remember where your true happiness lies and how to find that light. That's your dharma in this life. And no matter what everybody's duties and dharmas are, the highest dharma is to realize ourselves as those beings of light. Because as a being of light, we must expand it. We must allow it to flow through us, and we must expand the light. And that's the job of each one of us on this planet, each one of us evolving through time and space, each of our souls. True dharma is to share the light. And as that light expands into infinity, as it will, we will just join with everyone else who's expanding in light into infinity, and this universe becomes one of light. Maya is already half light, half darkness. But once we get out of this Maya, it's all light. And that's where we're all headed. Joy to you.